So welcome back to the shop, and today what we're going to be doing is installing our new shop heater. So for the heater itself, we decided to go with the Dyna-Glo Blue Flame flush mount unit. It's going to be nice, it's going to sit nice and flat on the wall, it's not going to take up a lot of space, nice and quiet. And one of the best things about this unit is that it converts from natural gas to propane with just the flip of a switch. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring you in closer, we're going to take a look at the heater itself and some of the tools that we're going to be using today. Because not only do we have to install this unit, but we have to run the gas line, and that means cutting and threading a little bit of pipe. So let's bring you in closer, take a look at some of the ins and outs of the units before we install it, and we'll get rocking. Okay, so what we're looking at is the back of the unit. We've gone ahead and already installed the blower unit. That's an accessory for this model. And what that's going to do is go ahead and push some of the air out the front, help the airflow get around the shop here a little bit better. One of the other features on this model is the fact that you can change it over from natural gas to propane with just the flip of this switch. And changing from the natural gas port here over to propane. So what you would do is unthread this nipple here and move it over to the propane side, and then use whatever adapter you need from there. And like I said, all you would do is change this switch up from natural gas to propane. The other thing on the back here is the thermostat and the mounting slots. Thermostat you're never going to have to touch. The mounting slots are for the bracket that mounts right to the wall. Slides up like this and mounts right on there. The only thing that I don't have for this unit are the feet, which is another accessory for portability. As I'm mounting to this right to the wall, I'm not going to need the feet. Up here you have the temperature control and the ignition lighter. We'll get into that when we mount the unit and get it installed. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the tools we're using today, and then we'll start mounting this. Okay, so here's our tools and some material we're going to be using today. The Milwaukee M12 drill and driver combo, our tape, pipe cutter, pipe threader with the 1/2-inch insert already installed, a couple different types of thread sealants. We have our tape and our pipe dope, cutting oil for when we cut our threads, leak detector. There's many different ways to detect for leaks. This is one of them. Shutoff valve, nipple, 90 for our gas pipe, and our pipe wrench itself. Today we're going to be using the Milwaukee cheater pipe wrench. Definitely a go-to wrench. So we're going to go ahead and start by cutting our gas pipe coming out of the wall. It's about 4 inches too long, so we're going to go ahead and take a little bit off that pipe, and then we're going to thread it, get that installed, and start mounting the unit. Okay, so we've got our pipe marked and installed in our vise. We're going to go ahead and cut that. We're going to be using the big pipe cutter today because we don't feel like messing around. So you go ahead and install it right where your mark's at. Give it a tighten and go ahead and start spinning it. As you tighten it, you're going to notice it's starting to loosen up. Go ahead and spin the handle a little bit more. It'll tighten down, and it'll start making its groove in the pipe. There we have it. Cut to length. Okay, so we switched views here. Hopefully we'll be able to get a better angle on what's going on when we cut these threads. Now for this, we're going to be using this CRC cutting oil. You just spray it on there, coat the whole pipe, then we're going to slide our die right over it and start cutting. Now, this will be messy, so make sure you have some paper towels handy for cleanup. Go ahead and coat the whole pipe. Then we're going to slide our threader right on to the point where it's ready to start. So, we're going to go ahead and get this started. You'll feel it tightening up as it starts to cut. So get it started and make sure you continue to spray lubricant on here. That is going to be the key when cutting your threads for your pipe. As the pipe cuts, the dies will heat up a little bit as natural friction, and you don't want to risk breaking the teeth on the die itself. So continue to spray lubricant on there every few turns. I don't know if you can hear this or not. But you can hear like a little crinkling sound there. That's the steel being cut with the teeth. Spray a little more lubricant. Now, as we cut, we're going to want to run our thread all the way to the back of our dies. So we're going to keep turning this until we get to the back of the die. That way we know we have a full thread and the pipe is nice and tapered. Okay, so once you get about halfway out, go ahead and reverse your die. Back it off a little bit. It'll kind of clean some of the metal shavings out here and give you a little bit easier access to cut, as your die will just keep building up those metal shavings. So let's go ahead and put it forward again and continue to cut. Okay, quick inspection here. We are almost to the end. Another 2 or 3 turns and we will be good to go. One thing to note with these dies, you do not want to run past the end of the pipe, as you will risk damaging the threads. So keep it right there at the end. Perfect. Go ahead and reverse it out. Nice and slow, so we don't damage any of the new threads. Once you get to a certain spot, take our handle off, thread it out by hand. There we have it. Nice new cut thread. So what we're going to want to do is clean this off now. What I like to do, take my pipe out of my vise, knock any debris that's in the pipe off, and I go ahead and spray it down with a little bit of brake cleaner. It'll clean off the residual oil that won't mess with our thread compound, and the brake cleaner won't leave a residue once it dries. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, so here's a nice up close look at the thread we just cut. We want to go ahead and inspect it, make sure that there's no broken threads, everything looks good, and we'll go ahead and start putting this together. Now, as our cut side is going to be out here in the shop and our factory edge is going to be in at the gas source, we're going to go ahead and install a 90-degree elbow on this, bring it up about 8 inches to the shutoff. And we're going to go ahead and do that right now. We're going to put this back in the vise and start building this. Okay, now it's time to start building the outside of the pipe here. And for that, we're going to install a 90-degree elbow on the end of the pipe here, bring it up 8 inches with a nipple, and install an FIP shutoff valve from 1/2 inch down to 3/8 on top of the nipple. And to do that, we're going to use this Teflon tape that's designed for natural gas and propane, you know, any type of gas really. You're going to notice that it is yellow in color and a little thicker than traditional Teflon tape. Now as you wrap it around the thread, make sure you wrap it in the direction you're going to be threading. And now we are ready to install our 90. Go ahead and start threading it on. Get at least 3 turns in. And then we can tighten it up with our pipe wrench. So bring it around. Sure you get at least 3 full spins all the way around, and then you can start really tightening it up. Okay, so next we'll add our 8-inch nipple and we'll put our shutoff valve on top, and then we'll go ahead and install this to the gas source, and then we can start mounting the unit itself. Like I said, at least 3 full turns around, and then you could really start snugging it up from there. So I've already done 3 full spins. Let's go ahead and snug this one down. Now, another thing is we're going to want to make sure that our shutoff valve is easy to access from the outside. So we're going to want to make sure that that is on the outside of this pipe. You never want to loosen gas pipe. You're always going to want to tighten it. So before this gets too tight, we're going to make sure that our shutoff is on the outside. So let's go ahead and spin it. And now that it's on the outside, we're going to be good to go ahead and install this in the wall. Okay, so here we are on the other side of the wall, and we're about to connect our pipe to our gas source. Now as you notice, I have a shutoff on this end too, just in case anything goes wrong on the other end of the wall. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this in Teflon, and then I'm going to get it installed. So let's go ahead and tape this up. Like I said, keep it semi-tight and in the direction that you're going to be threading your pipe into. Let's go ahead and start threading. Okay, semi-tight. Now I can tighten it with my pipe wrench. And there we have it. Okay, now we're nice and tight. Now we can definitely go outside and start checking for how we look out in the shop, and we can start installing the unit onto the wall. Alright, so now that we have our gas line installed, we're ready to start installing the unit to the wall. A couple precautions before we do that. We're going to want to make sure that we have adequate space around the unit for fresh air ventilation. The unit has an oxygen sensor on it that if it doesn't get enough fresh air intake to it, it will keep shutting itself off. It's a great safety precaution to make sure that nobody gets hurt with the unit, it doesn't malfunction, that sort of thing. So we're going to want at least 36 inches from the top of the unit to, you know, the ceiling, headroom, whatever you want. 8 inches left or right of the unit, 3 inches from the bottom, and 36 inches from the front of the unit. We want to make sure that it's nice and clean all the way around. So for that, we're going to make sure that we're at least 36 inches down from the top. So we're going to go ahead and start measuring this out to where we mount our wall bracket at. Okay, so we have our height of our bracket. What we're going to want to do is put a level line across here so we know just exactly where this is going to go. Then we're going to want to find our studs. Now, we have a stud here obviously because there's a tape line and we see nail holes that have been taped. So we can assume that there is a stud 16 inches on either side of the line. So we're going to go ahead and put our level line across. Just like so. That'll give us our height. Now we need to mark our studs. So go ahead and mark all the way down the wall. And as we're going to keep the unit a little further away here, we'll go ahead and mount it over here. So we're going to come down 16 inches on this side. And put our level line down. So there we have it. We have our studs marked. We have our top line marked for our mounting bracket. We're going to go ahead and start mounting that now. Okay, so to mount our bracket, we're going to be using 3-inch T25 construction screws, nothing special. We're going to go ahead and drive those in to one side, and we're going to go ahead and set it in the other side, keeping our bar nice and level. Okay, our bar is mounted. We can install our unit. One thing I'm going to suggest is to put your flexible tubing on the unit itself first. It'll make it much easier for mounting the unit on the wall. Okay, now that we have the unit mounted on the wall, it's time to hook up our flexible tubing. A couple of things of note. When I usually pick out flexible tubing, I usually tend to get a little longer than I need. That way, if I ever have to pull something like this off a wall or an appliance out of a hole, I have plenty of room to do it with. Another thing is, when you're using flexible tubing, do not make sharp bends with it. Nice and easy, relaxed 90s, as to not damage the tubing itself. So let's go ahead and hook this up. So let's go ahead and give it a crank. Don't over tighten it, just snug it down. Okay. So now we're going to take a standard cable clamp. We're going to mount it on our flex tube and mount that right to the wall. Keep our tubing from flopping around. So let's go ahead and do that. Nice and secure. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to start testing for any leaks that we have. For that, we're going to be using our oatey leak detector. Okay, so we're going to bring you in nice and close here, kind of get an idea of what this stuff's going to look like as we test it. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to just get a little bit on the brush here that they give you. And we're going to want to just go right around each fitting, right where it comes in at. Now, one of the main detectors that you have is built into your body. It's your nose. You smell gas right away, you shut everything off, and you go around and check all your joints again. But this stuff will help too. Go ahead and take a look. Everything looks nice and tight to me. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and fire the unit up. Okay, it's time to light this guy. So on your control dial over here, what you're going to want to do is set it to pilot. Go ahead and spin it all the way around to pilot till you feel a little click. You're going to notice that the knob is kind of tougher to push down. That's going to be the pilot to engage the gas to start the unit. So what you're going to do is hold it down and start pushing down on the igniter. Now the igniter runs off a AAA battery. To change that battery, you're going to have to unthread the unit, put the new battery in, and thread it back in. And you're going to hear it clicking, as well as being able to see it inside the unit to know that it's working, like that. So one thing is, now that we've installed new gas pipe, we have air trapped in the lines. You're going to want to purge that out. Go ahead and hold down the pilot light for a little while. Every few 10-12 seconds, go ahead and try lighting it again to try and purge any of the air out. Now you can hear it's trying to light there. It's got a little bit of air, it's still trapped in the lines. I'm going to go ahead and keep holding down the button. Till she lights. Okay, so now that we have the pilot light lit, go ahead and release our button, and we can go ahead and adjust the temperature at where we want. Now the temperature gauge on this is numbered 1 through 5. We're going to go ahead and set it at 1 and go ahead and fire up the burner. Now you can hear it running, nice and quiet. Got a lot of heat coming out of here, so that means we're good to go. Okay, got everything all hooked up. Heater's working fine. We're nice and toasty. So that's going to be about it for today. Hope you've enjoyed watching. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time.